Hey, welcome back to Nerd News Today. This is Matthew, and today we are talking about one of the most elusive figures of the pandemic. And yes, that's how I'm going to classify this, because this thing has been one of, I think, the most important toys, in fact, of the pandemic. Because Baroness here has eluded so many collectors, and that's who we're looking at today, folks. This is G.I. Joe Classified Series Baroness with her motorcycle. So when they first announced Baroness, I was going crazy for this, because this is the figure that I really wanted with that first wave. Unfortunately, it was a Target exclusive as part of their Cobra Island series. And this happened to hit, of course, as we mentioned, early on in the pandemic, and that's when collectors and non-collectors began going real crazy for action figures. Suddenly, everybody out there who had a car was driving to their Targets, driving to their Walmarts, getting up at 7 in the morning, hitting up these stores as soon as those pallets of toys came out, and was buying them up like crazy, meaning that collectors like me never even had a chance to see this thing. And that's what happened with this figure here. Like, I was looking for this thing, and it just never really showed up on Target's website, and when it did, the bots scooped it up in about a second, so there was no shot in reality of anyone really getting this besides those scalpers, besides those flippers. But thankfully, Target and Hasbro heard our pleas, and Target did this amazing summer convention during the last year, and they gave us basically a second shot at so many of the toys that we missed out on. That includes the Mandalorian and the Child 2-pack. There was a bunch of other Mattel figures, a bunch of other Hasbro figures, a lot of Marvel Legends that we missed out on. Basically, everybody got a second chance, and this Baroness is one of the ones we all got a huge second chance on, because previously to this would have been a $250 item. That's right, if Hasbro didn't re-release this just about a month or two ago, this would still be on eBay for $250. Can you believe that? $250 for this thing. So my question today is really, is this even worth the hype? Would this have been worth $250 if you bought it back then and didn't wait for this restock to happen? So we're going to talk about that today in this video and see if it's actually worth the hype. But for now, let's just jump into the packaging, and you guys can see here, it is the same as we've gotten for every other G.I. Joe classified figure in the line. This is, of course, the first vehicle we've looked at, so it's a little bit different. It's obviously a much wider package, and you can see that our Baroness comes with a lot of different accessories. I mean, aside from the fact that she has her motorcycle, there's a whole bunch of other stuff here. She's got weapons, she's got a helmet head, she's got a snake for some unknown reason. It's jam-packed with stuff here. On the back of the package, we've got a map of Cobra Island, which is very green, and I'm not going to flip it over. But it's a map of Cobra Island. What it means, I don't know. I kind of wish there was something besides that map, though. And that map was also on the Cobra Island figures as well, which, you know, when I think G.I. Joe toys, I want to have BIOS. And that's the one thing that the classified series has not done yet. They have not included BIOS in the back. It's always just been either a generic little image of all the Joes and the Cobra characters, or in this case, the map. But the map's cool, but I want BIOS. That's what G.I. Joe toys are all about. They always had that file card. That was such a really, really awesome thing to have, because that's kind of important for not just nostalgia, but it tells you who the heck people were, who everybody was, what they did. It was such a great touch, and I think that's what classified series really needs to have. But really, at the end of the day, I'm not here to talk about this thing in box, and I'm not going to keep it in the box either. So let's go ahead and unleash our Baroness and take a closer look at her. All right, and we are back, and here is the Baroness and her motorcycle out of the box, and they do look really good together, I gotta say, right up front. You know, to be completely honest, the motorcycle here was just the thing I didn't have any interest in, but when I actually finally got it up close and personal, it kind of reminds me a little bit of like Kaneda's motorcycle from Akira, and you can never go wrong with that design, right? And that's like one of the best motorcycle designs of all time. I'm going to move Baroness out of the way for a minute. So yeah, let's actually talk about the motorcycle first. Let's get that out of the way, because this was almost like an add-on that felt more like a bonus than the main reason why people are going to buy this figure. And correct me if I'm wrong, but for the most part, you know, I think everybody really just wanted the Baroness, didn't care much about this motorcycle. But I think that's pretty unfair, because it's a very nice looking motorcycle, and it scales up pretty well with other figures too. We'll try it out a little bit later, but in terms of like a vehicle for a 6-inch figure, this is really awesome. This is pretty sweet looking. There's a lot of good things about it. A few negatives, but for the most part, this is actually a very, very nice vehicle. So you guys can already see I've put some guns on this. So Baroness comes with a bunch of accessories, and this is one of them, or should I say 2 of them, because there's another one over there. So there's little holes that you can insert these guns into on each side, and that's what you can see right there. There's a little hole, and that just slides on in very easily. You don't have to fight with this at all, which is great. It goes right into place, and boom, you got yourself a nice motorcycle with weapons already armed. And you guys can see that, yes, it totally moves, totally rotates, and what's also kind of nice about this too is the front wheel moves, and I hope you guys can see that the handlebars are actually moving along with it, which is pretty nice. And speaking of handlebars here, you'll see this one here. This was actually an accessory. This one you had to pop in. I don't know quite why they did that, but this was this weird little choice they made. And this handlebar was packaged separately, so once you got it out of the box, you had to then stick it in. I don't know why they did that. That's kind of weird. Maybe it was just for safekeeping to protect the cider from getting broken while shipping or whatever. Weird thing to do, but all right, whatever, they did it, not the worst. You guys can see here there is a spot to put your figure's feet on. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. And yeah, also there is in fact a kickstand right over here. But as you've seen throughout this whole video so far, it hasn't needed the kickstand. It's been standing fine just on its own. Very well balanced. It helps the fact that it has kind of wide tires also, but yeah, this has been really nice. It's a great looking set piece. This thing will be great to put in the background of your dioramas, as well as to actually put in action scenes. Really nice vehicle here. But let's get the bike out of the way for a second here, and let's go to really what everybody wants to know about with this review, and that is the Baroness herself. So how good is this Baroness, and was she worth the wait? Well, one of my biggest concerns was the likeness, and again, this is kind of like what G.I. Joe Classified is doing with this line. They're in the vein of the comics and the original cartoon, all that kind of stuff, but they're their own versions of it. And when I first saw the pictures of Baroness, I really didn't see too many up close. So to me, as far as I could tell, it looked like Lisa Loeb was being the Baroness, and I got no problem with that. I'm all about that Lisa Loeb, but no, I'm happy to say that this actually has a pretty great likeness and a very nice head sculpt, very interesting, a little bit more realistic too than I guess what we're expecting probably, or at least what I was expecting from it, because I'm thinking back to the Baroness in the original cartoons and how she looked and how I guess my idealized version of that Baroness is, but this version feels actually kind of grounded in reality, which I like. I like her armor as well. I like her glasses as well, and I'm happy that those are separate pieces. I don't think the glasses come out. No, they don't. So they are a separate piece that is glued into her head, but I do like that they're there. Good paint job as well. I like the expression. I mean, it's a little bland, a little neutral, but they had a little bit of teeth showing in there, so it's like she's saying something or doing something with her mouth. And the hair also is really good hair. I'm a sucker for nice hair, and Baroness always has that really long, nice hair, and they got that here. So, yeah, that part is awesome. I like the likeness a lot. I like the head sculpt a lot. As for the rest of the body, yeah, also very cool. I like her armor. It's kind of like a dragon scale armor. Very serpent-like, very snake-like. Really good choices here in the different types of blacks that they're using for it. I like the texture on her sleeves as well. You guys can see there's some texture on that. Just all around very nice. And I also like her holster here with her two guns in the back and her other accessories, and she's got a lot of accessories we'll talk about in a second. Really great design, and actually that is kind of the big thing. I feel like she's probably one of the most well-designed characters in this line so far. Not to get like super artsy on you guys, but there's a lot going on here in terms of how they're really like drawing your eyes in and how they're doing to move it around. Compared to, let's say, I just happen to have here one of the other female figures in this line, the first female figure in the line, that's Scarlet. And Scarlet looks cool, but in terms of like artistic value and how it looks, like I would take Baroness over her any day. And yeah, since we have Scarlet out here, you guys can kind of see how she sizes up to her. I don't have Lady J, and I might not get her because I'm not really collecting these as much as I used to, and that's a story for another video. But that's how she looks side by side with that. So really cool. Again, you can see how I'm talking about the likenesses here, how they're kind of very much grounded in reality. They're a lot more realistic, I think, than what we've seen from a lot of other lines, excluding the sideshow versions of those 12-inch, those really nice 12-inch figures that they put out a while ago. But yeah, likeness is great, design is great. How's the articulation? Well, this being a G.I. Joe Classified figure, of course, it's great. I don't really have any complaints about any of the articulation here. Everything is nice. She's a little stiff out the box, but otherwise not too bad. I guess the only thing to complain about a little bit would be the belt hindering her hips, but yeah, as you can see, it just kind of slides up around her, so not really a big issue. I mean, she's got double-jointed elbows, double-jointed knees, just like all the other figures do. She's standing up fine on her own as well, which is pretty great, so really no complaints there at all. I'm very happy with this figure so far. Now let's talk accessories, because as I mentioned, she has a bunch. We already saw these ginormous guns over here, and those do fit in her hand a little awkwardly, but they fit. She also comes with not one, but two golden handguns. We'll see if we can get one of those in her hands. And yes, both of her hands are in kind of trigger finger poses, and that's all she has in terms of hands. That's something that the G.I. Joe Classified line hasn't done differently yet, giving their people other hands. Because, yeah, all she can basically do is hold guns, and I guess she can ride her bike too, but yeah, she can mostly just hold guns. She also has a nice dagger over here in this side. We'll pull that out, see if we can slide it into her hand. Again, because she has that funny hand, it's a little weird holding stuff, but yeah, I'm sliding it up that way because it's just easier to deal with the little snake head on it. But yes, she can hold the knife. There you go. She also came with this really bizarre snake thing, and a lot of folks were kind of surprised to see this thing here and didn't really understand its purpose, and I would agree, I don't understand its purpose. But it does look kind of cool, and what you can do with it is just basically wrap it around her arm, like what I'm doing here, and there you go. That's your Baroness with a snake on her arm. A really weird choice, but it's there. And last but not least, we do have another head, but it's, well, not maybe what you were hoping for. It is a motorcycle head. We're going to do a quick switch right now, and see how this works out. So this is a head with a motorcycle helmet on. Snaps into place very easily, in fact. So there you go. She's got a motorcycle helmet to go with her other normal face. And since she's got her motorcycle head on, let's actually try out the motorcycle. Let's see if we can get her on there, how it's going to look. So, let's see, I'm going to try and see if we even actually need to get her on there, but get her on the pedals. I don't even think we need to do that. All right, so I got her hands on it already. That's looking pretty good, so you can get her hands on it, and it looks very nice, very natural. Let us see, though, about getting her feet over onto her pedals. For the most part, yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't think you really need to use the peg holes for it, but it looks fine. I mean, this is how she looks on the bike, and that looks pretty darn good. I gotta say, that is surprisingly good. So now she's ready to go out and ride and pick up Destro along the way so they can go to the Wawa and get themselves some sun chips. So let's swap out this head one more time. Let's give my final thoughts here. So the big question was this thing worth the wait? And now that I've got her in hand and I'm checking her out on the bike and looking at all of her accessories, yeah, I gotta say this thing was definitely worth the wait. Better than I expected, in fact. Now, would it have been worth paying $250 for? Hell no. I mean, absolutely not. Never ever will this thing be worth $250. But in terms of $4 figure, $42 figure, I think is actually what it is. Yeah, no, totally. This thing is great for that price. And you're getting an awesome vehicle that will work with other G.I. Joe figures as well. You've got a really good likeness on the Baroness. This is just, yeah, this is an awesome toy. It's an awesome collectible. I see nothing wrong here whatsoever. You know, the G.I. Joe Classified line has really been very impressive since day one. I've had a few issues with some minor things here and there, but Baroness is definitely the best in the entire series so far. So if you haven't gotten her yet, she is still available on Target's website, at least at this moment, but I doubt she's going to be there for very much longer, so I definitely recommend you scoop her up while you can. Otherwise, you can check out Entertainment Earth and Big Bad Toy Store, and we'll have links for them in the description below, so best of hunting if you do try that route. So that's our look at the Hasbro G.I. Joe Classified Baroness and motorcycle vehicle from the Cobra Island sub-series. Really awesome. I can't say enough good things about it. I'm so happy I finally have her and that the hunt is over. And I would love for them to do more vehicles. I know they've got one other motorcycle coming out soon with one of the grunts from like, the original series. I don't remember which one it is, but I love that they're doing the vehicles. I hope we can get some bigger ones down the line. I think that would make me really want to actually jump back into this series. But for the most part, I mean, yeah, this thing is pretty sweet, and yeah, I'm really enjoying it. So on that note, I'm Matthew. That's our review of the Baroness. And stay tuned to Nerd News Today to check out all the other videos that we do here on the channel. And until then, Cobra!